So the first MVP was basically Raj and I, Raj is my co-founder, doing the process manually. We met with our customers, with our local St. Louis companies. And we sat down. This is a problem we're trying to solve. Is this something that seems interesting to you? And quite a few of them said yes. We do the tech side, we manage the HR, and then we partner with attorneys to do the cases. And we found this attorney in St. Louis who was willing to work with us. He's a little old school, does everything over paper. We got the process running. We figured out how everything works. And then what we did was we took that and built it into a workflow in Django. I'm Satya Mishra. I'm the co-founder and CTO at Waylit.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their back.
A company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve
I was
more.
proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time. The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it.
It's not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story. I'm your host, Noah Laupart, and today how Satya Mishra made a simpler way for you to handle immigration through faster filings, support, and visibility. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, I was building my startup and went hunting for that perfect .com and found next to nothing. So I did what every founder does, settled. Here's what I wish someone had told me. You're building a tech startup, just get a .tech domain. It instantly tells investors and customers what you're about. Don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If your team is collecting large volumes of logs, metrics, and traces, but still struggling to get timely answers, Mesmo can help. Mesmo is an active telemetry platform that processes and enriches observability data in real time before it's stored or analyzed. That means lower data volume, lower cost, and faster root cause analysis across your existing observability tools. To see how it works, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. If you are building with AI coding tools, but your features keep breaking, you need to check out BrainGrid. It is the product management agent for AI builders. BrainGrid turns messy ideas into clear specs, tasks, and prompts that coding agents like Cursor and Claude can actually build the right way. Ship real software, not fragile prototypes. Start free at braingrid.ai. Satya Mishra was born and raised in India, in one of the smaller tech hubs on the eastern coast. He came to the States 25 years ago on an H-1B visa, working in semiconductors. And in 2015, he decided he wanted to do something entrepreneurial and set out to do so. Outside of tech, he's married with 3 kids, which takes up most of his time. When he lived in Colorado, he did lots of skiing and hiking, including snowshoe hiking. Once he went to California, he switched to the beaches. And then finally, when he moved to St. Louis, he took up improv, enjoying connecting with people and thinking on his feet. Satya and his co-founder Raj both went through the immigration process in all of its forms. They realized that no one group owns the process, as it's highly specialized and usually fell onto the employee to keep track of. One day, they set out to solve this problem, to assist business teams to take ownership of the entire process. This is the creation story of Waylit.
So Waylit helps lean HR teams manage their immigration. The thing that we ran into, my co-founder and I, both are from India. We went through the whole immigration life cycle. In the US, H-1B, renewed the H-1Bs many times, do the green card, became citizens. And the thing that we found during the process was nobody really was in charge of making sure that everything was getting done on time in a compliant manner. The teams that we worked with, they were lean HR teams. They had their hands full with regular HR work. And immigration was something that's very specialized. You got to know your details about, your passport's expiring. You got to get your passport done so you can get your visa done. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck somewhere. Or your visa is expiring. Somebody's got to make sure that your visa is filed 6 months in advance because it takes 8 months to process them. Or you're on H-1B and the H-1B is only valid for 6 years. So you got to get the next step to get this person on green card. It usually fell on the employee to figure it out in such HR teams to make sure that they're staying on top of the immigration compliance and everything. And of course, employees, they should rather be focusing on work. I had a funny story. So my boss said, hey, we need you to go to Taiwan for a business trip. I said, oh, sure. Then I opened my passport. My passport's expiring 2 weeks. Nobody was keeping track. Boss, I can't go. Yeah, so I had to postpone the trip, get my passport renewed, and make the trip. So those kind of things, that's what we set out to solve. And we built a platform to keep track of all that. Even in a not so lean HR team, how they would do this is they would have a spreadsheet and they will regularly review everything and make sure that things are going according to plan. But our platform has a little more smarts built into it. You put in all your information. It tells you when your passport is expiring, when your visa is expiring, and alerts you well in advance to renew your visas. And then we take care of actually managing the entire process for the HR team. So we act like an extension of the HR team of our customers and do the thing end to end.
Let's dive into the MVP for Waylit. So that first version of the product you build, how long did it take to build and what sort of tools were you using to bring it to life?
So the first MVP was basically Raj and I, Raj is my co-founder, doing the process manually. We met with our customers, with our local St. Louis companies. And we sat down. This is a problem we're trying to solve. Is this something that seems interesting to you? And quite a few of them said yes. And so we just started doing it manually. We had a great attorney that we started working with. He's about to retire now. And he gave us the best advice on how to do things and everything. We do the tech side, we manage the HR, and then we partner with attorneys to do the cases. And we found this attorney in St. Louis who was willing to work with us. It was a great person to work with. He's a little old school, does everything over paper. So we did emails, we did paper, we got the process running, we figured out how everything works. And then what we did was we took that and built it into a workflow in Django. Django is our tech stack that we use for our web app. And we so built that workflow into there so we can run many of those. And every time we make sure that the cases are being done right and nothing is falling through and everything is tracked. There's one place for everybody to go get all the documents, case status, whether it's the HR person, the attorney, the employee, or let's say the HR person changes at the company. They don't have to scramble to find out what happened. They can go on the platform and everything is right there.
Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains. And this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name. And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since. Especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. Building with AI coding tools is exciting until the moment things start breaking. You ask for a small change and suddenly 3 other features stop working. AI gets confused, misses edge cases, and loses track of your intent. The problem is not code generation. The problem is planning. That is why BrainGrid exists. BrainGrid acts as your product management agent. It writes clear specification, maps UX flows, asks the clarifying questions you forgot to ask, and breaks big ideas into engineering-grade tasks that AI coding tools can build reliably. It guides Cursor, Claude Code, Replit, Windsurf, and others so they deliver features that work and keep working. Founders use BrainGrid to build real AI-native SaaS products without a technical background. If you want reliable features instead of fragile prototypes, try BrainGrid for free at braingrid.ai. That's braingrid.ai. So you've got that version built. You went through the process with the old school lawyer. You got the platform built, now the workflow built. How did you progress and mature the product from that point? And I think to liken that question, or to wrap that question in a box, I'm curious about roadmap. How did you build your roadmap? How did you go about deciding that, okay, this is the next most important thing to build for Waylit?
When we started, I wanted to build on a foundation that we could build for a while. So I looked around and we had a little bit of experience with working with React and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this stuff changes too fast. Whatever was working yesterday is probably not going to work today, and I got to pick up. So I picked something called Django. It's a Python web framework that I had known for a while. It's been around for, I think they just did their 18th or 20th birthday for Django. So it's been around for a while. All the kinks have been worked out. And so what we did was we said, okay, we're going to build it on Django. So that's the basic thing. What do we build next is whatever is causing the most friction for us. This is taking the longest amount of time. Let's go build that and make sure, or this is where most of the errors are happening. Let's go build that to reduce the errors, to reduce the time we're putting into the process. And that's the process till today. Oh, this is where things are falling apart. This is where errors are happening. Let's put in more controls. Let's make this bit a little bit easier for everybody to understand. We get customer support questions like, oh, how do I do this? Oh, yeah, maybe that text could be improved a bit. Maybe we need to rethink how this workflow should work. And yeah, that's our basic process for building the product.
I'm curious about team, right? So that I hear you mentioning other folks and our process. Tell me about how you built that team and what do you look for in those people to indicate that they're the winning horses to join you?
Our entire team works closely together. Like we meet a few times a week. We are in Slack all the time, pinging each other. So it's not just tech, right? So we have somebody who understands immigration in a little more legal detail. That'd be a paralegal kind of person. Then we have an attorney who's actually is in Slack with us all day, even though they're not technically part employee of Waylit, but they have their own company, they're a partner attorney, but they're super willing to work with us. And we have some salespeople, a customer support person, and of course, Raj and I, being the co-founder, Raj owns the sales marketing, product management to some extent, and I'm on the tech and product management as well. So we all work very closely together to deliver the product for our customers. And what I look for when I'm hiring is somebody who's curious, willing to work fast, and is not set in their ways. In a startup, it's not, oh, we have always done it this way, and that's how we're going to do it. How we do things changes every day because we change the platform. We decide not to stop doing some things, and we decide to start doing some things that are more valuable to our customer. And that thing is changing every day, and not everybody's comfortable with that change. So we had to unfortunately make some changes in our team. Sometimes the employees were very set in their ways. Initially, it looked like it was going to work, but it didn't work. The pace of change was too much for them. So we had to part ways sometimes.
This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If you're responsible for reliability, performance, or platform architecture, you already know the problem. Telemetry volume is growing faster than teams can manage it. Mesmo addresses this by moving observability upstream. Instead of storing everything and asking questions later, Mesmo processes telemetry in motion, filtering, transforming, and enriching logs, metrics, and traces before they reach your observability backend. The result is cleaner data, reduced ingestion costs, and faster root cause analysis using the tools you already rely on. Mesmo integrates with platforms like Datadog, Dynatrace, and open source stacks, giving teams more control without adding operational overhead. This is especially useful for platform engineers and SREs supporting complex distributed systems where context and speed matter. To see how active telemetry works in practice, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's mezmo.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Your coding agents have access to your code base. Maybe you even connected other tools via MCPs. But access doesn't mean context. Agents can't reason across MCPs. They don't know your architectural decisions, your team's patterns, or why the API was shaped the way it is. So agents look in the wrong place and deliver bad outputs. Then you spend time correcting. More loops, more tokens. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. I'm curious about scale, right? I'm curious about how you approach scale in the beginning. And then, have there been interesting areas where you've had to fight it as you've grown? And that could be technology, approach, people, all the things.
We're still running a very lean team. We're not VC funded or anything. I see a couple companies that are VC funded in immigration space. We'll see how that works out. But traditionally, the companies here have not been VC funded. So we have to work pretty lean. So our scaling, there's like 1 million people in the US in various stages of immigration. So the tech scaling is actually not that hard. There's not going to be like 1 million requests per second that you could answer. But where the scaling comes in is the complexity of things we're handling. When we started, we were just doing 1 or 2 kinds of cases and just US. But we built the platform flexible enough that we could, in 2 days, we could put up a new workflow for a new immigration process in any country. We talk to the attorneys, figure out what needs to be done. We write up the code, and in 2 days it's up, and we can start a case. So as a result of that, we can file cases in, I think, probably some of the fastest in the industry. I constantly go to friends who are working for bigger companies and have big law firms as their immigration provider and say, it takes 2 months to do an H-1B. We do it in about 2 weeks. So that's the kind of scaling that we have tried to do, is set up our processes for handling the complexity on a very small team.
So as you step out on the balcony and you look across all that you've built with Waylit, what are you most proud of?
I think the lives we have helped, we get unsolicited thanks from our employee customers and their employees. They're like, you guys are the best. I wish we had worked with an immigration provider like this ever. And that's what brings us back to working on it so hard every day.
Satya, let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
I think the biggest mistake was hiring. So when we started hiring, operational work was getting rather large for a small team for us to handle. So we wanted to win. We went and hired some paralegal help to do the work and answering customers' questions, running the cases and such things. And unfortunately, as I said, the pace of work at a startup and a law firm are very different. So that's the biggest mistake that has caused the most heartache. And we now know to focus really well on somebody who's able to keep pace and with the change and the pace of work as well.
Satya, this will be fun. Let's look towards the future. What does the future look like for Waylit, for the product, for the company, for your team, all the things?
So we're still focused on providing the best immigration service that our customers can find anywhere. Waylit continues to grow. We hope to be one of the biggest names in immigration service that competes with the biggest names right now. And the biggest names in immigration service have been around for 20, 30 years. And we're much newer, but we're growing. And I think we're solving a real pain point. So we should be right there, up there with them in due time.
How are you integrating or utilizing some of the latest industry trends into the product? Maybe like we talk about AI or LLMs or things of that nature. Tell me about that.
For the longest time, LLMs weren't going to add much value. I know last year's trend was everybody was putting in a chat box in their app. Yeah, this is not really adding any value other than for the sake of we're LLM. But I'm seeing some new opportunities this year with the improvements, especially with Opus 4.5, 4.6, and OpenAI's GPT 5.2. And those things have changed the game where I can almost rely on them as much as I rely on a human to do the thing right. So we're looking to put in some intelligence in quite a few places where the LLM can do an assessment quickly, not necessarily give the answer to the customer because we still don't trust them to do the right answer, but surface things quickly for our team to review so they can do things faster, more accurately, with more comprehensive overview of everything that's going on for that employee. Internally, we're of course using LLMs for developing our code and all that. And
Satya, let's switch to you. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
Well, the biggest influence would be my mom, I think. She didn't get to go to college, but she worked nights and weekends to get her degrees in undergrad and master's. And that's been my influence. So you want something, you gotta put in that hard work to get there. When the kids go to bed at night, I get back to work because I got a thing to get to.
Last question. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give that person, having gone down this road a bit?
The biggest thing I've found in business is the technology is good, but getting it in front of customers and making sure it's solving a problem for the customer is much more important. Yeah, you found a great big thing, go talk to a bunch of people and see how it solves their problem and see how you can get it into more people's hands. So that's the biggest things when you're a new entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think those are fantastic things to point out. Well, Satya, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for telling the creation story of Waylit.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you for having me.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI. They already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.